Well, welcome back. You are with Kay and Crystal, Small Business Sorted, and we've got a great topic today, Kay. What are we talking about?
We're going to be talking about getting the most out of your accountant.
Oh, it's pretty timely, isn't it, with the
Certainly
end of
is.
month, end of financial year coming up, the e-office, as you say. So that's going to be quite exciting. So there's quite a few things that we will be covering in this, and what people want out of their accountants, what accountants can offer. Both Kay and I are not accountants, but we will be doing our best to try and answer some of the questions that we've seen asked around with different customers. So let's have a think about our opening story. What is that, Kay?
Okay, well, I recently spoke to a business owner who was turning over more than $1 million a year. I know, nice amount, but couldn't tell us if they were actually making money.
Oh,
So that was the million was their sales figure. Their accountant was lodging tax returns every year, but no one was helping them understand their numbers. So their tax was being done. They were likely paying tax, but they had no understanding of how those numbers
came
together. So within one meeting, they discovered with us, they discovered which jobs were profitable and which ones weren't. So they learned a lot more about how much profit they were making, what their gross margin was.
And their net profit.
Yes.
And how they were making that money, through which customers and sales and stuff, I guess.
Yes. And a lot of accountants, and not knocking accountants at all, or tax accountants, I should probably say, they concentrate on the tax return and not on the profitability of the business. And I think a lot of the reason for that may also be their understanding of what you are asking them to do as a business owner.
Yeah.
I think you have to actually ask them in a lot of respects for that information before they voluntarily give it to you. So what you should be looking at is the contract or the agreement that you have with your accountant.
With your accountant.
What does it say? What does it say they'll do?
And I think too, that's a really good point. And I think too, in Australia, we call a accountant a tax accountant just an accountant, but often not all accountants are tax accountants, obviously.
Correct.
However, the accountants that when we talk in business, we always talk about tax accountants. And I think the accountants cop a little bit of this as well, that they're helping businesses and everything, but I think often people's misunderstanding of what accountants can do for them as well. So, and maybe that's a conversation that they don't have with their accountant when they first set up. And it's really always to get the tax done initially, isn't it? And then from there.
Yeah, I've got a question to the audience. Are you paying your accountant thousands of dollars and only seeing them at tax time? I think the answer for a lot of business owners is yes. And when are you seeing your accountant?
Yeah.
After the end of the year, probably, just when your tax return is due.
Yeah.
So therefore, to be honest, they will have your financial information ready, but it's historical, which doesn't help you moving forward.
Well, I could tell you what I do. I used to do that. Back in the day when we used to have the servos, we had an accountant but those were the days we used to have the big ledger books. And then when we got the first versions of MyOb, you remember the floppy disks? But honestly, we used to send our staff at the end of the month to him. He would take a month to get back. We would be looking at our profitability almost a month, 2 months old.
Yeah.
And then it was really hard to know how we were going and what we were doing. And I know when we got the trade business, then I thought, I want to do this differently. And then, of course, Xero and everything came, which made it much easier for you to track your own profitability. But I also, with the accountant, I just said, I need to speak to somebody a little more often because I really just wanted to run things by. So I think what I've got now is I've worked out how to work out the profitability. I've got my reports. I've learned how to read my own P&L. I've learned how to read my cash flow. And I've also, excuse me, and then I've also asked, with our accountant right now, I've asked her that I want to pre-tax meeting. So we normally catch up in around January, February, have a look at what the first 6 months were.
Great idea.
Kind of predict what we're going to do, what are the plan, and then we meet again in just before, like in May, beginning of June, end of May, and then we kind of go, okay, this is more what it's going to be. And then when she does my tax returns, probably in that March or February the following year, or December, we would catch up and go through what that looked like and what she needs from me. But I use my accountant for slightly different things, but I feel like that a lot of business owners out there would want their accountant to give them more regular feedback, and that's my
I guess it actually depends whether you have a bookkeeper, how much you understand your own numbers as well.
Yes.
And if your accountant actually does the bookkeeping in-house for you as well.
Yeah, well, some accountants do your bookkeeping and everything as well, don't you?
Yes. Something that has to be said with all of this, your bookkeeping has to be up to date. I'm sorry, I'm a bookkeeper. I will harp on about this forever. But there's no point in going to see your accountant if your bookkeeping's not up to date. What's he going to look at? Nothing. What's he going to do? What's he going to look at? It's a hopeless case.
Must cost them a lot of money to fix those sort of errors and issues up, right? Don't you reckon?
Yes.
Well, it must just drive them mad.
Yes.
I absolutely agree. The only way you know with your profitability and everything that you're doing is that your books being your accounts in Xero and everything has to be up to date and it has to be accurate.
Yeah.
So that's your number one rule in business, isn't it? I think accurate figures, accurate P&Ls give you that opportunity to have an overview as to how and you can make better decisions knowing what your figures are.
Absolutely. So, Crystal, could your accountant be helping you to make more profit?
Oh, that's a really good question. I feel like when I used to not understand the P&Ls as well and not understand where all my figures were coming from, I was expecting my accountant to be a lot more helpful on that. And being in business now for nearly 40 odd years with different businesses, I feel like in the early days they did, but that was because we had little ledgers and everything. But nowadays I feel like it's much easier to see it yourself in Xero, so you can do that. But yes, I think a lot of people would like that from their accountant.
Yeah, I think the answer is they could, but I don't know if many of them do. It'd be interesting to hear from you accountants out there, because we're just talking from our experience, which is obviously limited, and our clients. We'd love to hear from you if you disagree with us or if you have any comments. So yes, your accountant could. You'd obviously have to meet with them more often.
Yeah. I've got a theory, right? I was at XeroCon in Brisbane, not last year, the year before, I think it was. Or was it last year? I can't remember now.
Last year.
They talked about, it was so good, and they come out, in the show and they talk about the future of accounting and bookkeeping and what the future looks like. And they were saying that with a lot of the AI coming in, that accountants and bookkeepers are going to it's going to be a lot harder for them with you still need accurate, clean books, but AI can do a little bit of what they can do, in the future. And, but they were saying that with accountants that a lot of the businesses are going to be wanting to trust them with getting better reporting to them, because a lot of that stuff can be done now with a bit of AI, and the reporting that you can get out of it will be amazing. And I think they would want this is what they were predicting, that a lot of businesses would want the accountants to be able to give them suitable reports that they could understand.
Thinking about AI, it's amazing what is available now through Xero or through QuickBooks as well. As I've mentioned before, SIFT reporting. And SIFT reads the figures from Xero and then actually gives you a commentary. Your sales have gone down by this amount and in the last few months. Your expenses are too high. You need to do this, you need to do that. And it actually gives you the reports that, to be honest, previously your bookkeeper might be giving you, or even your accountant. Yeah. But like you say, Crystal, it takes someone who knows. It takes a professional to look at those numbers and actually maybe make decisions based on them.
Yeah.
And you were talking before about planning for the future. I think that's where maybe the accountant comes in more than the bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Giving sort of advice on profitability, cash flow going forward. I think that's more an accountant's
I think
position.
So. I mean, there are some incredible bookkeepers out there that could give you that as well, right? So cash flow isn't that tricky really to get a report nowadays.
Yeah.
But I do love that. And I believe there's Jax now in Xero that is AI. So it's almost a genic AI in the way that you can ask it questions and it will help you with using your figures and give you some really good answers as well. So I feel like the accountant's role has to be complementary with this new stuff that's coming through.
True. Yes.
And so helping you you're going to get some pretty good feedback out of the Jackson, even using Claude and stuff like that, I guess. But you would need to understand what you're looking at to be able to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And I always remembered listening to who was that guy, a Texan guy out in America. He used to talk about finances and like a bit of a business coach guy, but he loved figures. He was a real figures man. And he always said, like, if you're driving a plane, you've got all your dials and your thing, and that helps keeps the plane in the air. He said your books and everything are no different. And your figures, you need to know your figures in your business like a plane's dials so that you can keep your business in the air type of thing and making a profit. Otherwise, you're working so hard and you don't know what your figures are, you don't know what you're doing, you're not understanding any of the reporting, or you don't have accurate reporting. How the hell do you know what you're doing?
You don't. So what are the 3 numbers every business owner should be tracking? Now, sales is one of them, but not the most important one.
No, it's not. It depends what kind of business you have, I guess, would be what you would track. So if you were a trade business, I guess your gross profit margin after you've paid your boys and your staff and your materials, knowing what the industry's gross profit margin is, are you even close to the industry one? That'll give you a good idea whether your pricing's right.
Where your accountant would probably help you better. Yes. I know you can get the information now from ChatGPT or whatever, but those are sort of possibly the conversations that you could be having with your accountant.
They have access to all of that through the ATO, don't they?
Yes.
And I think another good set of figures, so 3 you said, so obviously revenue, revenue, sales, gross profit. And I feel like your ratios of your gross profit versus your net profit versus your, like what they are of sales, your net profit definitely, and I think you need to also know your ratios. So is your net profit 20% of your sales, right? So that would be a goal to have to make that, and is it consistent? And your gross profit for your industry, are you, if it's 70% or 90% or 60% or 40%, are you in that band?
I think that's the main thing. How are you tracking against other businesses in the same industry? Because that percentage varies considerably depending on what business you are in. Yeah. But those figures definitely especially provide a good indication as to
really good indication
where your business is.
It's a bit like marketing too, right? You've got to know your return on investment there and how many leads you get to how many you convert. It's the same with quoting. How many quotes are you doing a day? How many quotes are you doing a week? How many quotes are getting converted? How many jobs do you need a month? There's all these little things you need, but I feel like your top line one for your thing. And then I think knowing what's confusing for business owners, like for when you're talking about what figures do you need to know, I feel like when you're looking at your P&Ls with your accountants, and they may not always explain this as well, but a lot of your equipment and your vehicles and your drawings are sitting on the balance sheet. And that really needs to come into, you go at the end of the year, you go, why am I paying so much tax? I made no profit, but it's all on the balance sheet, right? So it's sort of, I think that's an area that's people need to know as well.
Yes, it affects your cash flow. all those entries. You don't see them on your profit and loss, but you'll see them on your. It'll affect your cash flow because it's cash going out.
Correct.
I'm going to ask a bit of a controversial question. What's the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant? Shall I answer the question?
Go for it, Kate.
We were talking about it before.
You're the expert on this.
I think the lines are in this day and age. It's evolving. The bookkeepers' roles are evolving. The accountants' roles are evolving. In this day and age, your bookkeeper's definitely responsible for recording your figures in Xero, QuickBooks, or whatever software you use. But nowadays, they're much more responsible for looking at your numbers, advising you on your numbers, providing you feedback, looking in more detail as to whether your jobs that are profitable that you are doing.
Yeah.
An accountant definitely does your tax if they've qualified to do that. That's something a bookkeeper cannot do, your tax return.
Yeah.
It's actually the only thing that the bookkeeper can't do.
Yeah, right.
They can actually do everything up to the point that your tax return is done. So if you want to, you can get your bookkeeper to provide you the numbers, talk to you about the numbers. Again, it really depends what you're paying them for.
And also if the bookkeeper is qualified, understands the different industries and that there's differences between bookkeepers as well, isn't there?
Yes, there are.
And by the way, you're listening to Kay and Crystal on Small Business Sorted.
Yes.
But going back to that bookkeeper versus accountant, the way we run the trade business that we own, and then the coaching business that I own, I do all the bookkeeping right up to, I even do my own BASs, right? So I don't need my accountant to do that part of it. All I really need from my accountant is to give me advice on what I could do better, how to pay less tax, number one.
Absolutely.
So more about minimizing my tax. Have I got my business structure right, which we'll talk about
yes.
a little later. But I think all I want her to help me with is, how much tax am I going to pay? What's my best strategy for minimizing it? How's it looking from her side of things, and making sure it all looks accurate. And that's, all I really need. And then, of course, we've got a self-managed super fund, which I need advice on that as well.
Yes.
So she's not a financial, obviously, planner, but she can help me with the, tax and keeping me compliant with the ATO.
Yes, and you were talking about business structures. That's something that, as a bookkeeper, I know very little about.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bookkeeper's
Some
field.
bookkeepers, I think, do, but they'll specialise in that.
Right.
But if you want to change your structure or even be advised whether you should change your structure from maybe a sole trader to a company or from a company to a trust or a partnership, then I think the accountant is the person to ask.
You'd have to ask that. And then there's a time in your business too, isn't there, where you need to move from being a sole trader because being a sole trader is just a really funny way to run a business, I feel. Like it's great when you start, but I think as soon as you get to like $70,000, $80,000, you need to move over, or even $100,000 maybe. Or when you start getting staff, get yourself into a company. You pay less tax. You could then separate your wages.
The risk is less.
Yeah, the risk
Sole traders
is less.
have so much risk that they carry. I don't think about it. Don't think about it. Yes, you'll have insurances to sort of mitigate those risks, but you're actually liable, for everything. So that's one of the good reasons to go to become a PTY Limited.
And also you're paying less tax through. And then, of course, you can then move from a company if you feel into, I know it was all the rage about 20-odd years ago, to move your business into a trust account.
Right.
And so I think sometimes that's still quite popular with businesses, and but that's definitely, you need an expert to advise you on that.
I'm not sure how the current budget has affected that. Sorry, either.
What a dog's breakfast that's turning out to be.
We won't. We're not going there, guys. We're not going there. But you can call it. You can write in to radio@businessgrowthcoach.com.au if you have any opinions on that.
Exactly. But can I just say one thing? What really annoys me more than anything about the government when they do
Here we
the
go.
budgets. I'm having a little rant. Is that why the hell do we always have to have, they put something forward, then they backflip on it, then it goes past the Greens and the Greens make a bloody dog's breakfast of it. Then it comes back all tattered and torn and not very effective. And then we've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, why, it just seems such a waste of time and money and energy, and the whole thing comes back like a quarter of what it should have been or whatever, right or wrong, whether it was bad or good or whatever. But it always comes back not quite like that, isn't it? Anyway, rant over.
Something that I'm going to say something. I'm going to have a rant now.
Oh, you?
I find it odd, not odd. A business owner can do their own BAS.
Yeah.
But most of business owners have absolutely no idea
how to do it.
Well, how to do it, what they're doing, but they can do it, and they can nominate somebody else to do it for them in their business.
Yeah.
But a bookkeeper has, or even a tax accountant, has to have special qualifications to be able to do that. They have to be a BAS agent, and they have to do, I think it's about 1,400 hours of supervised work before they get their license. To me, there's something not quite right there, that a business owner who knows nothing can do it themselves, can also allocate someone else to do it for them in their business who would also know very little.
Could be a staff member.
Yep. But a bookkeeper has to have. Dog. Yeah, has to have. But that's just my little... so you, as a business owner, you can do your own BAS if you wanted to.
That's a good question, though, isn't it?
Well, I think a lot of people probably don't know they can, but now Xero and QuickBooks make it a lot easier. Again, another thing that's...
It's kind of like, imagine what some of those BASs must look like when the business owner's done it and their books aren't even great. Like, you'd be either paying too much GST or you could be paying too less. I don't know.
I think it's probably one of those things that their accountant at the end of the year will review and fix.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Something else I'll say is, as a bookkeeper, I used to find it actually really lovely when the accountant communicated, not frequently, but certainly at the end of the year, well with me, because they will look at the books and they may make some adjustments. And it's important that the bookkeeper
is aware of that.
Is aware of them.
Yeah, yes. So what did you get, like an email, or how did they let you know?
They used to, we didn't talk on the phone. But they would email me a list of the adjustments that they have made or that they wanted made. Because in some respects, it's nice for the bookkeeper to make the entries rather than the accountant just make them, and the bookkeeper, more often than not, falls over them when they see them. But no, they used to send me the entries. I used to ask for them. They used to send me them. And if they had questions, or information they needed extra, or even at the end of the year, the information they did need that they maybe didn't have, in advance, they'd send a list of, we need this, 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 and this, which was just really nice.
Yeah, that's great.
So, communication.
And I feel like bookkeepers and accountants are really they could be really for your business if they do talk, if they do talk to each other and communicate well. What a bonus for your business, right? Yeah. I really feel that.
Yep.
With Kay and Crystal Small Business Sorted, an accountant is such an important person in your business. Even though they just, they're helping you with your tax, they can advise you on your business structure. They can help you whether you need a SMFF. They can help you with so many, things to help guide you through your business and everything. But I feel like maybe as a business owner, I know I didn't know this, but it's like, what questions do I ask my accountant? I may not always understand it. Sometimes it used to be blah, 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 blah. They'll talk balance sheet and then my eyes just glaze over. I thought, I don't even know what that is. I do now, but at that time I didn't. But I feel like, if you want to ask the right questions, what do you think we should be asking our accountants?
I'm going to start as well with thinking about what your contract with your accountant and what you've got included in there, what you're asking them to do, first of all.
Oh, yeah.
Not just tax.
Sometimes there's no contract.
They should be. They should. You should have. You should have some. Well, how do you know what?
Maybe that's the first question we should be asking.
I'm lost. Something else. When your tax return.
I don't have a contract.
When you tax Crystal. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, when you've been with someone for a long time, you don't know.
How do you know? Yeah, anyway.
I think my expectations change from year to year. So my poor accountant, she adapts and changes with me. But
the problem is you might end up with a surprise of how much you have to pay them.
Yeah, that's true.
If you haven't got. But plus, sometimes the accountant will just do the tax return and not do your financials. They don't have to do your financials for you. You
Tell me what's the difference?
It's your profit, your profit and loss, your balance sheet, the financials that back up your tax return. So some of them just do the tax return and do not. You have to
don't
pay
adjust
them
the figures or anything.
Well, they. I don't know how they actually prepare the tax return. They would have financial data, but they don't produce the actual financial details, the profit and loss, the balance sheet that goes behind that. Don't ask me how. We might have to get someone in.
They send that to the ATO and you get those pages to sign. So you do see them, but they're not explained.
They don't give you a financial report that you can understand, I suppose.
It's the ATO
It's the ATO
report.
Yeah, which is, nobody can understand that.
No. And sometimes it's adjusted, right? So to take different things into account.
So ask them to give you the financials, to give you that together with your tax return. But obviously, you're going to be asking them for those financials, and then you need to know what your profit margin is.
Yep.
And how is your cash flow doing?
Can we just go back to profit margin? So these are the questions we've got to ask our accountants, right? So we're going to have our contract.
Yes, please.
All right, number one, ask your contract, know what's in your contract so that you know. And then what other questions? So if we can just make it really simple, like for a person like myself. So you ask them for their contract. You know they're going to do your tax return, right? They might be doing your BASs during the year, to say. They could be doing your bookkeeping.
Yes, they could.
But if they're only doing your tax return and everything, the second question I would ask is, when do you see them? So I feel like there's a timing of, we spoke about right at the beginning of the show. So you should see them at least 3 times a year, I think, as a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So one, to work out how your previous year went, like in, maybe July, August, you could work that out. You need to see them in around March or April before your tax so that you can work out what you got to do with your money.
Bearing in mind that tax returns are actually due on the 31st of October, but if you do it through an accountant or a tax agent, it's the end of May. That's an extension that's granted if you have an accountant. If you don't, it's due on the 31st of October.
Right.
It depends as well whether a lot of people lodge them. They often get lodged, in my opinion, late.
Yes.
Not before the 31st of May, but to me that's late.
Well, you kind of get there's so many rich bastards. You've got all this money you've got to pay, and you go, what was this for?
Well, that's why.
That was for last year. So I go, oh, God.
That's why nobody cares if it's done or not, because they know they're going to have to pay money, and they delay paying the money. But personally, I'd like to get it out of the way.
Yeah, I think so. I don't mind getting it done like by December, and then the next year is open to you. So you really need a minimum of 3 visits with your accountant, if not more. Mm-hmm. I think a monthly one is ideal, where they go through everything with you. But of course, you've got to pay for that. But I feel like, you've got to understand, like January, February, get in there, know what your first 6 months are, start sort of looking at what that year is going to look like. Finalise your other tax if you've got it, but that should be done sort of more around before December, and work out what your instalments are going to be, like if you've earned too much money or you need to pay more tax. And then I guess like a mid-year sort of catch-up where you could just sort of go through your figures and understand exactly what that looks like, and maybe make some decisions around your business in the way of measuring your what your gross profit margins are versus what the industry does, and get some industry standards into your business through your accountant as well.
Yeah. So what you're saying is a quarterly review, an annual planning meeting, which is good. And something else that comes to mind is before any major business decisions.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
I know.
How many people jump in and do things.
Yeah, and then have a tax
buying another business.
Buying another vehicle.
Yeah, whatever it is. Talk to your accountant.
Buying big tools.
Yes. Yes.
Buying a premises.
Before making major decisions, talk to them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'd say your accountant rather than
and then you've also
your bookkeeper.
got the CGT too, don't you? That you've got to be aware of as well.
Yes.
I feel like, so that's a question definitely. So when can I see you? And lock that in and book that in once a year.
Yep.
Your accountant probably does reach out to you and say, hey, we should get together. But I think, why don't you be proactive instead of waiting for your accountant to be proactive? And
you know what you need? I hate to say it. I've got a client who suddenly decided he wanted to buy a house or apartment.
Oh, yeah.
So he needed his figures. Well, yes, he's got his figures in Xero, but they wanted his tax returns.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, tax returns haven't been done for the last 2 years, but he has an accountant.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So make sure your tax returns are done. I know it's something you often don't feel that you as a business owner has to chase the accountant for.
Yeah.
But it happens. Accountants are very, very busy, very, very busy, which is another reason for the tax
planning
returns being done
later.
just before the 31st of May, because understandably they can't do them all at the same time. However, they can get backed up and
or you could get forgotten.
Yeah.
Potentially you could get forgotten.
But that's hopefully not the...
No, I doubt it. That's the norm at all. But I think you're right. So that whole be proactive.
Yes, I think that's the word. Be proactive.
And I think, it's your business. It's your control.
Yep.
You should be in charge of it, not your accountant being in charge of it as well. And you probably, I think, having a good relationship with your accountant, have a think about, do you have a really good relationship with your accountant? If you don't, then maybe try to find an accountant where you do have, I feel like it's like having a good relationship with a bookkeeper is so important.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have a good relationship with your accountant, you just can get so much more out of it for your business, for your own personal growth as well, don't you reckon?
Absolutely.
Yep, for sure.
Absolutely.
So we've got a few things there. What else is there, Kate?
They can help you decide what you need to focus on over the next 12 months as well when you have the meetings. But I'd like to say ask what do most business owners get wrong? What do they get? It's sort of the flip side of what we've just talked about, but such as only contacting your accountant at tax time.
Yeah.
Looking at tax instead of profit.
Yes.
A lot of people, some people do that.
What, so you focus more on the tax. So you don't do more sales. You don't do this because you feel like you're going to be paying more tax.
Sometimes.
I have heard that. And I have had clients that do that. And I go, just say that again. Like I said, are you holding your growth back and your profits back because you don't want to pay more tax? But it isn't paying, if you have to pay tax, that means you're doing well.
It's a good thing. I keep telling people it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to pay tax. And something you should also be doing throughout the year if you can, if you think you're going to have to pay tax, put some money aside for it. Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
But so that's why when it comes to paying it.
Yeah, you have that squirrel account, right, where you can put that in, a bit like that, what's it, Profit First or whatever. I would, the one thing can I say just that some people get wrong is, what risks do you see in my business? I feel like an accountant can be a really good person to help you find. I don't
think bookkeepers really focus on that kind of thing.
No.
It's definitely a sit down.
Yeah, with your accountant. And just they can go through the risks. They could say, well, your cash flow is a big problem, or you're taking too much drawings out of the business and that's affecting your cash flow, or you might have a lot of outstanding monies. That's a huge risk to your business. They can be your second set of eyes on your business, that they can really help you. They might even suggest you getting staff. They might say, you need to invest some of this profit into buying a warehouse or buying an office, or, we need to, or doing shares, or we need to get that money working for you a bit better. I feel like there's some very good accountants out there, and some very proactive accountants too, to help you maximize your profit, and keep that money coming in. And some of them give you some really good advice there as well.
Yeah. So your accountant should definitely be more than a tax return processor.
Yes.
They should be helping you understand your business and make better decisions.
Absolutely.
So what is the one question you're going to ask your accountant this quarter? Crystal, Kay? I don't.
Yeah.
I do my own tax. Sorry, guys. Whoops. Sorry to disappoint everybody. I do my own tax and I'm a sole trader. So I really don't fit into the mold here.
No, you don't.
I used to have an accountant. I used to be part of the First Class Accounts franchise.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one or two franchisees who were also tax advisors or accountants.
Yeah.
And I had Michael Saunders was his name. And we had a good relationship because we were in the same franchise. So he used to do my tax return for me, and obviously he had access to my Xero, which is something else we haven't really mentioned, that it's a good idea for your accountant to have access to your Xero or QuickBooks account.
Oh,
because they can go, well, no, most, I would say.
Really?
Now I'm going to guess here, or bet, 50% or more don't.
What do you mean don't?
No, they don't have access to the client's Xero account.
How do they do the returns?
They ask the bookkeeper for figures.
Oh, so
reports.
you send the reports through to them?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know.
So that means if you don't have a bookkeeper and they don't log in, and so how do you fix up your accounts to make sure they look good? How do you get your Xero to be accurate every time?
Yeah, I know of one person who the accountant does everything based on the bank statements. And I totally disagree with that. They put that information into their own system. Whatever it was, they put the information.
That's your fallback position, isn't it?
How accountants do I don't know.
That's pretty old-fashioned.
Well, it's more than old-fashioned. But
old-fashioned.
We shouldn't be talking the norm here. I don't really know what the norm is. I just know that in a lot of cases, with my clients, the accountants did not have access to the Xero account. They would often ask me for figures, reports, profit and loss balance sheet, because really all they really have to have is profit and loss balance sheet, receivables and payables, what you owe and what you who owes you.
But then how does the journaling and fixing up the different accounts so that you start off the new year with a clean
I think those figures then go into another system. Yeah,
right, okay.
Some tax software.
Do you know what? I think we should get an accountant in here and we interview them.
I'm beginning to think myself that is definitely...
Yeah, we need to we need to get our facts right here too.
Yes, we may be talking apart.
I think we've got most of it right, but we don't know what they do in their offices.
Yes,
so I feel like we don't appreciate it, and I feel like that's something we probably need to take into consideration. We often go, I don't know, I paid all this money and I never hear from them. But it's, there's lots behind the scenes, and it's a bit like your bookkeeping and I guess even the coaching. People don't always understand what happens, or more, not so much me, but you. They don't always understand how much you do because they don't know what you're doing, right?
And they don't understand it.
And they don't understand it. Yep. So it's a lot. And I can't tell you how important it is for a business to have a good accountant, a good bookkeeper, a clean set of books to be able to look at those numbers to make the best decisions for you.
Yeah.
For you and your business and your life, right? It's like if you've got gobbledygook to look at, you're going to get gobbledygook back, right? Yes. And you can't make good decisions on that. You'd just be sort of ad hocing it along, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's not healthy, is it? Alrighty, so questions to ask again, just to round that up. And we'll definitely get an accountant in here to interview. We'll bring that in the next month or so. But yes, definitely questions to ask your accountant. Can I see your contract? Can I book 3 meetings with you a year? I want to have a great relationship with you.
How much are you going to charge me?
Yeah, how much are you going to charge me? Look, I feel like most accountants, it's pretty fair, especially if you can get a sort of quarterly catch-up as well, depending whether you want bookkeeping or your BAS done as well.
It's a few $1,000s though, isn't it, Crystal?
Yeah, I pay, to be honest, for I get 3 meetings a year. She doesn't do my BAS. She just does the end of year to be fair, there's two companies, our personal returns and our SMSF. And you got to pay in excess between 5,000 and 10,000 for that.
Because I forgot about the personal. We haven't talked about. It's not really in our scope. No. But not only do you have your company tax return, but you've got your personal tax returns too.
Yes, you've got to get them to do that as well, right? Well, you don't have to. You can do them, but it's better for your accountant to do that all in the one hit. Yes. And then that's the way you could sort of, if you're making a lot of profit, what do you do with that profit? I feel like that's where you need some guidance in that as well. So, how is my cash flow is another question to ask for your accountant as well. There's different ways of tracking your cash flow, but I feel like you can ask them as to, what's been the most profitable part of your business, especially if you've got different services or different products that you're selling. They might have access to be able to see that. What should I be planning for tax? What am I planning for tax? You need a plan for tax, like we've spoken about so many times. What risks do you see in your business? I feel like accountants can be super useful for that. And what should I focus on in the next 12 months? You already should know as a business owner what you're focusing on. Yeah. But from a tax perspective, or what they see as a risk or future tax issues coming up your way, these are the questions that you should be asking. What do you reckon? What's your closing takeout today, Claire?
My closing takeout is that you should be communicating frequently. At least 3 times a year with your tax accountant. And you need to have a good relationship with them.
I feel that's everything. Communication is everything, isn't it? That's my key takeout.
Yeah. I've got time. All right, Kay. So I think we should give the listeners a takeout for this, What do you think? What's some actions?
We need to sum up the actions that the audience need to implement this financial year.
Oh, this financial... you mean the new one coming from the 1st of July?
Yeah, the one coming from the 1st of July. Well, you can't go backwards, can you?
No, you can't go backwards.
Implementation in this year.
All right, so what would be your favourite action that you think they could take?
I think this week, pick up the phone and book a meeting with your accountant.
Yes,
Not
good
to do
idea.
your tax, though, but to talk about your business. Ask them one simple question. If this was your business, what's the one thing you'd tell me to focus on over the next 3 months?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, and that's very
Be
relevant.
Interesting to hear what the accountant says for that, don't you reckon?
I would love people to maybe people can
let us know.
Send us an email and let us know. That would be great.
I think so too. I'd be really interested to find out. I mean, there's plenty of things that you could focus on, right? You probably have a few things you think you should be focusing on, but they might actually have a really good one. So that would be good. Yeah. My action would be, remember your accountant isn't just there to help you save tax. They should be helping you make better business decisions. And if that's not happening, it might be time to ask questions.
Or to find an accountant who will.
Oh, God. So what questions could you ask your accountant if that's not happening? If they're not helping you make better decisions? Maybe you could say, one of the questions could be, hey...
what are the risks in my business?
Yeah, what are the risks in my business? Or... what could, similar to the one that you said, what's the one thing to help me focus? You could say to them, what better business decisions could I be making? And then that if they can't talk to you about that, then maybe you do have the wrong accountant.
I think it's a red flag if they can't talk to you.
If they can't, but maybe ask them, you never know what that could be. The next question, Kay, what would that be for you? Or the next action?
We've said this a few times, but don't wait until the end of the financial year to talk to your accountant.
Yeah.
The best advice comes before you make the decision, not after.
Yeah.
A 30-minute conversation today could save you time, money, and stress tomorrow.
Exactly. So you know what I do, and I think I mentioned this before, I always ring up and book twice a year in with the accountant. I set it right at the early time of the year, and I just say, can I have it in October, and then I want another one in April. So then April kind of we do a look back, and then we do a forward look, and then we do in April we know that we've only got 2 or 3 months left, and then we know like these are the things you should be implementing or making the changes, or how much extra super do you pay in your contribution super, or
do you think it makes a difference if your accountant...
buy a trailer? I don't know.
If your accountant is local?
No, I don't think that matters.
So it's just something that just came to me. Is it better to go and sit in front of them face to face?
Yeah, maybe. I guess if you're a face-to-face person.
Yeah.
But I think a good Zoom call, and you have your questions ready and they do, could work really well. But I don't think if you've got 6 people on a Zoom, that's good. I think, if there's just the 2 of you, that could be really good.
I think preparation on both sides is
Preparation?
important. Preparation.
Yeah.
So another important thing to think about is your business has a team behind it. Your staff, your customers, and your advisors.
Yeah, and your suppliers.
Make sure your accountant is an active member of your team.
I like
not
that.
Someone you only hear from once a year. I think that's a theme coming through these final actions.
Yeah.
Is not once a year, more frequently. Communication.
And book it in, I feel like that's really important for you to do. So book it in. But I like those actions, Kay.
Yes, I think so.